Welcome, welcome. We continue our normal type runs this week in Pokémon Black. Our first run through Pokémon Ruby was quite interesting. Definitely a weird start, which picked up pretty quickly. Let's dive in and see how Pokémon Black responds to trying to only use mono normal type Pokémon. And we start at home trying to pick our first Pokémon. None of these are normal types, so that doesn't matter, and you have two rivals in this game, so whatever you choose, your rival will choose the other two. I choose Snivy because it's listed first. But don't worry, two rivals means twice as many rival fights. And too many trainer battles is going to become the theme of this run. Struggle for a bit finding where I'm supposed to go, because I've actually never played through Black or White, so I'm running a bit blind here. Thankfully, Bulbapedia's walkthrough has my back again. Juniper gives us our first Pokeballs, and it's time to start catching Pokemon to add to our roster. Because Black and White serve as soft reboots of the series, we won't be seeing any Pokemon from prior generations in this game, which does mean our options for mono-normal types are going to be a bit limited. First, we catch a Lillipup that we name Dog, then a Patrat that we name Chipmunk. Dog is a decently bulky physical attacker, and Chipmunk is a criminal whose moveset is designed to be the worst to fight against. And on getting to the first main town, I discover that Pokemon is stupid, actually. I have a prior save on this game, which I was warned about when I started up a new game, but the way Pokemon treats this is it just won't let you overwrite that old save mid-game. You just can't. At all. So I have to back out to the menu, delete my save, and repeat that whole process again. This time I choose Tepic because I'm speeding up and not really paying attention. And we're back with some slight continuity errors, but we have also enabled our rare candy cheat to bring our Pokemon up to level a bit. Just like every other run, we're using rare candies, but we'll be limited to the max level of the next gym. For now, that is 14. But we have our first N fight against a single Pokemon several levels lower than us, which goes just as easily as you'd expect. Brief trip through the next route and then into the Dream Yard, because we need to head there to unlock the next gym. Except no, that's not right at all. I head to the trainer school to have another boring fight with Charon. I honestly don't think any rival fight in the entire playthrough is interesting, so I will be mostly glossing over them. Now it's gym time. Get my Pokemon leveled up and give each of them an Oranberry. Then fail to understand what I'm supposed to do in this children's puzzle. Much like every gym in the game, the trainers here are completely unavoidable. Good thing there are only 2 of them, and not 8. But it's now gym time, and this first gym is not that interesting. I power through the first Pokemon by just tackling. This gives me Takedown, which is enough to bring down the Panpour to yellow health, and finish it off with a Tackle. First gym down, and so far this has all been smooth sailing. Beating the gym also gives me the TM for Workup. This boosts attack and special attack, and a huge pool of Pokemon can learn it. That, combined with TMs now being reusable, means this will be our primary setup move for the rest of the game. First gym down, we head back out to catch our first HM Pokemon to teach Cut to. Except Lillipup can't learn Cut, so we catch a Patrat. Name it HM, and teach it Cut for the only required HM use in the entire game. Which is just wild. Like, you can tell Game Freak knew requiring HMs was kind of crap, but they didn't know exactly how they wanted to resolve that. Beat up some Plasma Grunts to rescue Amuna, which gets Dog enough experience to evolve into Herdier. Its pickup ability is replaced with the far more battle-useful ability, Intimidate. The boring plot stuff happens, I get the Sea Gear, which isn't relevant to anything, and doesn't matter. And we can start heading forward to Route 3, and it's time for another rival fight. I win without taking a single point of damage by spamming Tackle while Charon uses every setup move he can think of. It's almost comical how bad at fighting he is. But it's time for our next Pokemon. Beating the first gym has unlocked Rustling Grass, for some reason. And the Rustling Grass you will find here is Audino, which functions like a budget Chansey in this game. Although it's actually better, because its stat spread is less stupid. It's fairly bulky, with lower attacking stats, but does get a much better variety of types on offensive moves it can learn via TM. Too bad encountering it is so very, very annoying. But once caught, I name it Victory, because I don't know what animal this is based off, so I went with Victoria, I guess. Victoria will be useful once I get some TMs, but for now it's a bit not great. Then some more boring Team Plasma nonsense. It is Team Plasma, right? I honestly could not be bothered to pay attention to anything that happened in this game's story. After some more running, we arrive in Nacreen City for our next gym. Quick trip to this woman, and we get the HM for Rock Smash, which gives Dog a good move against this normal gym. Another end fight, and it's also very boring. The end fights will start to get more interesting as the game goes on, but at this point I can basically just spam my best attacking moves to bring down his entire team. And it's time for another gym. And no, none of these trainers are optional. They are in fact all mandatory. Why did this game decide every trainer in the gym should be mandatory regardless of what you do? This game has so many trainers, and they aren't interesting. Time to level up in advance of the gym leader, and Chipmunks evolves to its final form, and learns Confuse Ray. Yay, more obnoxious moves. Lenora time, and this fight sucks. Not because she's actually that difficult, but because my luck is just awful. I start off by confusing and then sand attacking. I then miss 3 times in a row. I send out Dog and get some setup, but Lenora's Watchog has no problem landing Hypnosis immediately. Victoria deals decent enough damage with Secret Power and paralyzes, but oh look, another perfect accuracy Hypnosis. And a crit. Second attempt, Chipmunk gets off Hypnosis and manages to sand attack down Herdier's accuracy, then misses 3 more Hypnoses in a row. Dog comes out and gets set up again thanks to the reduced accuracy and another perfectly accurate Hypnosis. And we're right back where we were last time, except now Victoria is asleep. I don't think this Watchog misses a single Hypnosis in all my attempts. But I managed to get lucky with the sleep times and land a paralysis with Secret Power and managed to finish off Lenora on attempt number 2. That fight was a mess. Really don't like how luck dependent my setup is because, wow, my luck is not good apparently. Then some plot nonsense about Team Plasma stealing a Dragonite skull for reasons I don't recall or really care about. Into Pinwheel Forest. No more Pokemon to add to my roster here, but there is more plot, where I have to fight through a horde of Plasmagrons. Seriously, were the Plasmagrons on discount or something? Why is every story beat accompanied by as many trainers as the game can warrant? Team Plasma nonsense completed, it's time to run across a very large bridge. You can definitely tell that Game Freak was like, yes, we have 3 dimensions, and we want to show off. But this game came out in 2010, so it's not actually that impressive. And then there's more Plasma nonsense, because this game doesn't want to go 5 minutes without reminding you that Team Plasma exists. But once that nonsense is completed, it's time for the next gym, which is a bug-type gym, which is mostly fine. I think some of the trainers in here are actually optional, but I don't know this puzzle well enough to maybe skip them. Maybe I did. All in all, the gym is one of the least offensive to me, other than having to push through honey, which I must assume would just feel awful and sticky in every way. Time to get the party leveled up, and it's into the Berg fight. He's a bug trainer, but I'm a bit hindered by my limited offensive typings. As usual, I start by missing 2 Hypnoses, then hit and start sand attacking. Really need whatever space I can make to actually get set up. Those done, I switch out to Dog to start setting up with workups. Whirlipede wakes up almost immediately, which at the time I attributed to bad luck, but I have since learned that sleep was actually nerfed in Gen 5. But thanks to workup, I can take out Whirlipede in 1 tackle and much of Dwebble's health with a Rock Smash. Dog's accuracy goes down, but it doesn't end up mattering because Razor Leaf crits and one-shots Dog. Then Chipmunk. Victoria comes in and takes out a decent chunk of HP with Secret Power, but no paralysis means she goes down too. Second attempt, because I guess I'm just not going to one-shot anything in this game. Same setup as before, but I don't even clear Whirlipede thanks to Screech and Poison Tail. Okay, third try. Chipmunk gets poisoned, but Dog gets enough setup to bring down Whirlipede and Dwebble. No crit on the Razor Leaf, so I can take out some HP. Victoria comes in and uses Secret Power. It paralyzes, but Berg uses a potion. Victoria lands an Attract, so now Leavanny is paralyzed and attracted. Despite Berg using another Hyper Potion, Victoria manages to bring home the win because Leavanny never gets another move off. Nice job, Victoria. That's 3 gyms down. Time for another Bianca fight that isn't even worth talking about. other than the fact that I forgot to heal after Berg, so I get destroyed on my first attempt. Second attempt goes just fine, even without any actual setup. From there, it's time to head north to continue onward to the next town. Except nope, it's time for a Charon fight, because 2 rivals means twice as many rival fights that aren't actually that interesting. Goodbye, Charon. Please stop wasting my time. I trekked through the desert to get Dig, an 80 power move that all of my Pokemon can learn. It's also super effective against the Rock and Steel type Pokemon Normal would normally struggle to hit against. So this is going to be a good move to keep on hand for all my physical attackers. And what's this? More Team Plasma grunts? Who could have guessed? Ooh, a bicycle. That's actually helpful. And a quick stop off to grab Strength, my favorite HM, because it's 100 accuracy and 80 base power makes it a very good attack, particularly for my normal type Pokemon team. Time for a Ferris wheel ride with N, because this game can't go 10 seconds without reminding me that Team Plasma exists. Trying to become champion here, N, I do not care about your very weak team. Seriously though, this fight is another very easy one. How does this game basically have 3 rivals, and most of the rival fights are not interesting at all? But it's now time to add our 4th team member. We can finally add Mincino, which we name Rabbit. Despite appearance, this Pokemon is a very fast physical attacker. Not quite as good as Zangoose from Ruby, because it can't use Sword Stance, but workup will have to do. It actually has the perfect nature, so while I consider resetting for Technician, Q-Charm should be good enough. And it's time for the Electric Gym, which is a roller coaster themed gym. Time to get my team rare candied up and face down Elisa. My typical boss strategy of sand attacking the lead Pokemon down to give time for setup won't work here because the 2 Emolgas have Volt Switch. And both are immune to Dig, which would normally be super effective. Instead, I lead with Victoria, who is comparatively tanky and has secret power. Victoria doesn't manage to bring either one down, but she does manage to paralyze one. Rabbit spams Swift, but doesn't really have the special attack to make use of it. Once Rabbit goes down, I send in Dog, who isn't fast, but does have strength. Despite being paralyzed, Dog brings down the Zebstrika, leaving Chipmunk to crunch down the final Emolga. Finally, a gym fight that I managed in one despite my awful team. Time to head west back to where we got Rabbit, and it's another Charon fight, who we just fought like 5 minutes ago. Despite Duat continually waking up from sleep, this fight isn't very interesting. Charon, can you either fight me less or be more interesting? Preferably the former, but I will accept the latter. Then we team up with Charon to beat up some children? Why are we doing this? Nope. Can't complain about the story itself, because I am fully not paying attention. That wouldn't be fair. Across the big bridge, and we arrive in Driftvale, home of our next gym leader. Except before we can fight Clay, we have to do more Team Plasma nonsense. Head into cold storage, slide around a bit, and we are done here. Not going into detail because fighting even more Team Plasma grunts with 3 Pokemon between them all is not interesting. Finally, it's time to head into the gym. More trainers down, and it's time to level up my party to 31 for the gym fight. Clay is a ground-type gym leader, which isn't great for me. Immediately missing 4 Hypnoses in a row isn't great either. Second try, I managed to put Krokorok to sleep and get my needed sand attacks in. Then send in Rabbit to get in some workups while Krokorok misses all his attacks. Except then Rabbit dies to Confusion Luck. So I send in Dog, who also tries to get in some workups. Dog can then one-shot Krokorok and Palpitoad. Excadrill is next, which is Steel-type, but Rock Smash crits, and the fight is also a one-shot. And Dog evolves into Stoutland. Okay, that fight honestly went better than I was expecting. Good news. Forgot to hit record for the next bit, but we join back up with Past Me in another boring Bianca fight. Bianca beaten, again, and it's time to head through Route 6 to Chargestone Cave. This little girl gives me a shiny stone. This can be used to evolve Rabbit. However, that would mean we don't learn any more level up moves. But on review, that's actually fine, because Rabbit's moveset is awful anyway. Clay finally gives us the Bulldoze TM he owes us. It's like Dig, but only takes 1 turn and deals less damage. And no one in my team can learn it, so it's not even relevant. N has ninja underlings, apparently, and I simply do not care. The stones in this cave can be pushed around, and enemies are plentiful. And then it's time for 15 more plasma grunts, because we haven't had enough trainer battles yet. And after all those trainer battles, it's time for another fight with N. This starts off more interesting than prior fights with his high defense Bulldor, but some digs into a rock smash can bring it down. Unfortunately, the rest of N's team goes down very easily and very quickly, so it's not worth talking about. But we are in Mistralton City, home of the next gym. Except before we can do that, we need to head north to follow the gym leader. In Route 7, we grab Charge Beam. Victoria can learn this to take advantage of her okay-ish special attack. It's not 100% accurate, but it does boost special attack with every use. And it's while on this mission to get the gym leader to do her job, we start to encounter a level problem. My levels are constantly in danger of exceeding the level cap. I'm skipping what trainers I can, but this game gives enough experience that I'm constantly on that threshold. Probably good design for a normal playthrough, but for a challenge run, it is less than ideal. Climb a tower with even more mandatory trainers and chat with Skyla at the top. Now we can finally head back to the gym and face down Skyla. But only after all her mandatory gym trainers, obviously. And it is here that, despite my best efforts, I exceed the level cap with one of my Pokémon. And I choose not to care about this. This was not my fault. I was trying to spread experience out as much as possible, but there are simply too many mandatory encounters to keep a team of 4 under the level cap. Time for Skyla. She leads with Swoobat, and I send out Victoria, hoping to sweep with continually boosted charge beams. Because I didn't realize that Heal Pulse can't heal you, which is unfortunate. Missing several charge beams also did not help. Victoria down, I switched to Chipmunk to use my standard sleep and sand attack strategy, then into Rabbit to work himself up. That done, I can spam Swift to end the fight because I don't have a single physical attack on Rabbit that isn't resisted. Not ideal, but it gets the job done. 6 gyms down, and it's time for another Charon fight. Does anyone think this will be interesting? Because it is not. That done, I must navigate a mine site, an area I am very unfamiliar with, and the map I looked up is not super clear. But get through there without too much difficulty, and we've reached the next gym in Icarus City. Of course, the gym is a tedious experience because there are a dozen gym trainers, all of whom must be fought to reach the champion. Not even a point in trying to avoid them. But then it's time for Bryson. My initial strategy remains unchanged. Hypnosis, Sand Attack, Setup, Sweep. Vanillish keeps using Acid Armor to buff its defense, which isn't ideal. Then it uses Mirror Shot, which doesn't really matter because it doesn't often hit and deals a comically low damage to Rabbit. Wake Up Slap may not be great as far as attack damage goes, but 6 times boosted attack is still enough to sweep Bryson's entire team. Finally, a gym fight that wasn't a nightmare. Victoria can learn Swim. Just gonna do that real quick. Finally time to grab a Pokemon that can learn Fly, which honestly takes longer than it should have because the Pokemon I try and catch keeps using Roost. But now I can fast travel. And I don't even lose any Pokemon because I only have 4 usable Pokemon anyway. I want to get to the next city to get my final Pokemon, but nope. This game is too linear for that. So I must proceed into the next Team Plasma nonsense. An admittedly pretty cool tower with just so many Pokemon trainers. At one point, this story beat gets put on hold so you can fight 4 separate grunts in a row in a circle. And these 4 grunts combined have only 6 Pokemon, 4 of which are identical. Why is this 4 separate trainers? This could be 2 trainers with 4 Pokemon. Why make me go through the start and end fight section so I can fight a full team of 6? Anyway, now that I'm done with plasma nonsense, I can fly back to Nimbasa City and the desert to do even more plasma nonsense, which is also just doing a bunch of boring grunt fights. And I know it's partly a product of the smaller Pokedex in this game, but I'm pretty sure these 200 plasma grunts only have like 10 Pokemon between them. I do get to teach Shadow Ball to Victoria though, that should be useful. Then Plasma steals something from a museum, I don't care. Finally on to the next city, except no, again, time for another Bianca fight. This is boring and needs to be skipped because I simply cannot tolerate another boring fight. And we reach the next city, and it's more Team Plasma! Before this challenge, I had no opinion about Team Plasma. Now I do. They are the worst. But now that we can access Route 10, it is finally time to grab our last Pokemon, Bouffalant. I name him Bouffal because I misclicked and didn't put the O in his name. All that done, it's time for Gym H, which, you guessed it, has a ton of mandatory trainer encounters. Hooray! Time for Drayden, probably my least favorite character design in Pokemon. Seriously, sir, where is your mouth? And we begin with Hypnosis Sand Attack. Fracture does no Dragon Dance, which is not great, because while I'm trying to find space to set up, it is actually setting up. Which means he one-shots Rabbit, send out Dog, who takes no damage from all these Dragon Dances. Then it's a one-shot Strength on Dredagon and Haxorus, so that's the 8th and final gym down. All because trainers in this game apparently don't know how to catch Pokemon. Like, at all. Juniper gives us a Master Ball, and we can start down Victory Road. And we are interrupted, again, by Charon, who goes down again in a fight that is very boring and not worth talking about. Thanks, Bianca and Charon. You have wasted so much of my time for no reason. Goodbye forever. All 8 gyms are done, and all I need to do is take down the Elite Four and the Champion. Takes a bit to get through Victory Road, though honestly not as long as other games. So Victory Road is definitely less tedious in this game. Once I reach the plateau, I guess this is, it's time to hop into the Elite Four. Now the Elite Four is a bit different in that you don't actually fight them in sequence. You can choose the order you fight them. And they all have Ace Pokemon at level 52. So, for my rare candy use, I have decided I am going to level my entire team up to 52 before fighting the first Elite Four member, and then not using any more rare candies for the rest of the game. That feels like the fairest way to handle the Elite Four when it's structured so differently from prior games. So, with some last-minute preparations completed, let's dive in. First is Marshall, the fighting-type specialist. I'm expecting this to be the hardest challenge in the Elite Four, maybe even the entire game. My entire team is weak to fighting, and there is nothing I can do about it. And no one on my team can learn any psychic or flying type moves that his Pokemon would be weak to. So I spend a few attempts experimenting to determine what his team is capable of. And the answer is... ugh. His first Pokemon is Throw, which has Bulldoze, which deals good damage, and, equally important, slows down the target. Finally, it has Storm Throw that always crits. This makes getting any setup in a very big pain. But while Throw looks like the most difficult, that's just a lie. The Conkeldurr that comes after it isn't too bad, and the Sock that'll end the encounter is fine. But the real difficulty is his ace, Mienshao. This Pokemon is faster than almost my entire team and can one-shot every single Pokemon with Jump Kick. This move can miss, or be negated, causing significant damage back to the Mienshao, but otherwise there is nothing to stop it from absolutely sweeping my entire team. This fight by itself takes almost 40 minutes of attempts, using Speed Up. On the victory attempt, Chipmunk manages to get off a decent number of sand attacks to reduce Throw's accuracy. When Chipmunk goes down, I send out Dog, who manages to get a decent number of workups out before taking a hit. Dog can then sweep the Throw and Conkeldurr before Mienshao goes out. Rabbit comes out and is faster. Using Dig to negate the Jump Kick causes a nice amount of damage, and the actual attack from Dig manages to take out Mienshao. Rabbit then survives a single Brick Break to take out Sock with Facade. Okay, real glad the Elite Four inexplicably only has 4 Pokemon, otherwise that fight may have taken even longer. Next up is the Psychic Specialist Caitlin. After dealing with all fighting types, I'm expecting this to be pretty easy. Then I get one-shot by Focus Blast, a fighting type move Reuniclus has, for some reason. The move isn't actually that accurate, but my luck is bad. On the second attempt, Chipmunk gets off some nice sand attacks before going down, so Dog can work up for a few rounds before one-shotting Reuniclus with Crunch. So glad dark moves are so common in this game. Sigilith gets off a Psychic for okay damage before falling to another Crunch. Another Crunch takes out Gothitelle. Really glad I gave Dog that Expert Belt. Musharna falls to a third Crunch, and the fight is over. Yeah, 2 attempts in 5 minutes. Way easier than Marshall. Then it's Grimsley, the Dark Elite Four. Lean on a classic Hypnosis into Sand Attack until Chipmunk goes down. Then into Rabbit to work up a few times. That's all he needs to one-shot sweep the entire team with Wake Up Slap. Okay, that was even easier. And last is Chantal, the Ghost Trainer. A weird one, since Normal and Ghost are immune to each other, but same strategy as before: Hypnosis, Sand Attack, work up to Crunch, until Dog goes down to a single Fire Blast. Victoria then deals some good damage with Serve before also going down, and Rabbit finishes the Chandelure off with Dig. Rabbit then goes toe-to-toe with Jellicent despite not actually having any great moves against it, and wins. Elite Four down, and it's time for the champion. Except no, it's not. You don't fight the champion in this game. It's time for the plot to once more get in the way. Okay, so real question, how actually would this hidden castle emerge from underground while we are also underground? Assuming the elevator we took down was real? You know what? I do not care. We have 2 fights left and I am done with whatever this is. Fortunately, there is a pseudo-Poké Center before the next series of fights, which is good, because this is gonna be rough. First, a cutscene that might have been cool back in 2010, but also, why did you break your throne? Then Reshiram, which I of course catch in a Master Ball rather than fighting. I do love that the game asks you several times if you are sure you don't want to add it to the team, and the fight proper. And leads with Zekrom, which, considering how much damage it can deal while I'm trying to set up, is, real bad. Especially with my awful Hypnosis luck. Fortunately, I do have Dig and Strength to bring down Zekrom. Then out comes Klinklang. Unfortunately, it's Zoroark, pretending to be a Klinklang, and is very fast. And the actual Klinklang is pretty tough. And the Ice Cream Nose Flash Cannon. Okay, let's try that again. And again. And you know what? How about a few more times? Okay, actually, let's just skip to the winning fight. I get off Hypnosis with Chipmunk, but only get time for 1 Sand Attack. I then send out Rabbit and work up twice and survive a single Fusion Bolt. Zekrom misses the second Fusion Bolt, so I have time for a second Dig, finishing it off. Klinklang comes out, but Rabbit is faster and strong enough to one-shot what is actually Zoroark. Real Klinklang comes out, and I use Dig for another super effective one-shot. Vanillix is another one-shot with Wake Up Slap. Caracosta, though, has Aqua Jet, and Rabbit goes down. I send out Dog, which weakens with Intimidate and gets worked up. Stone Edge hurts, but the extra workup means Dig can bring Caracosta down to 1 HP. Another Dig, after a full restore, brings it down, and all that's left is Archeops, which is faster than Dog and strong enough to kill. Boofle comes out and uses Revenge to deal big damage back after getting hit with another Stone Edge. But then Boofle goes down as well because it's not as tanky as I think it should be. All that's left is Victoria. Stone Edge hurts, but a Charge Beam brings Archeops down to yellow. Archeops uses Acrobatics, but Victoria survives with 8 HP. And another Charge Beam, with the special attack buff, is enough to win the fight. But we aren't done, because now we have Ghetsis. And Ghetsis is also a problem. It leads with a Cofagrigus with a truly vile moveset, Toxic and Protect. Even with Sand Attack, it's basically impossible to get set up against it regardless of what I do. And while I would prefer not to set up against it, Ghetsis' next Pokemon is a Hydreigon, which is faster than everyone other than Rabbit and can one-shot my entire team. I dance on that edge for a while, trying to make the time I need to set up, but either Chipmunk goes down too early or Rabbit gets poisoned. Then I have a run where I realize the strategy I need to win. Cofagrigus uses Shadow Ball against Rabbit. This is a Ghost-type move, so it can't deal any damage against Normal-type Rabbit. So this means the Cofagrigus is literally out of every other move. It's too late for me to use this on this run, because Rabbit's already poisoned, but I know what to do now. See, I brought my own vile Pokemon. Hypnosis and Sand Attack Watchog, with Toxic added for the Elite Four in case I needed it. But the fourth move is the real kicker. Rest, which fully heals and cures poison. By stalling out the Cofagrigus' moveset, I can burn through every move it has, easily out-surviving Toxic and Psychic. And once I see Shadow Ball, I know that this Cophagrigus is done for. I can safely switch in Rabbit, knowing nothing can hurt it until Cophagrigus runs out and is forced to struggle. And that 15 power points is 9 more than I need. Rabbit can get set up while in no actual danger. Dig doesn't kill, even after 6 workups, but it just means I burn through Ghetsis' full restores. Hydreigon goes down in 1 wake-up slap, Bouffalant does the same, Seismitoad dies to a Facade, and another quad-effective wake-up slap brings down Bisharp. Ghetsis' final Pokemon is Electros, which has no weakness, but 6 times boosted Facade is still enough to bring it down in a single hit. Okay, wow, that was inexperience. I will talk more about this in the summary video coming out in a few weeks, but for now, hope you enjoyed. Drop a like, consider subscribing. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.